Hello. Hello and welcome to this Sunday's Town Talk Show. I'm your host, Stephen Downs, and with me as ever tonight, I've got my trusty disciples in Mr. Callum Scott and Mr. Kern Hall. How are we doing, lads? Are you having a happy Easter?
Superb, mate. I fired my lamb dinner down. Ready to talk about some football.
Lamb dinner,
nice.
eh?
Very nice. Yeah, I've just been out for some dinner, to be fair. Been to the gym today. We'll see football on Friday. Yesterday was a bit of a relax, watch the sport, and tomorrow back at it again. So yeah, just ready for it, mate.
Kane's been to the gym and I'm sitting here eating an Easter egg.
Well, we've all got our vices, Cal. Slightly different Sunday for you, Kane, because you won't be at the rugby, will you? So, bit different, I suppose.
Yeah, it makes a bit of a change, actually, doesn't it? So, yeah, it's nice to not actually have that on a Sunday, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. And like I say, I'm at a game tomorrow. And yeah, so I guess it's just exactly the same, just an extra day of rest, which I'm not normally used to.
No. Well, let's hope you're well rested up for the next 45 minutes to an hour, Kane, as you delightfully talk us through the exceptional tactics of John Worthington's side on Friday against Cambridge. But thanks very much for everybody tuning in so far. Please do get your comments once again, and we'll show as many of them as we can over the last couple of shows. You've been absolutely exceptional on the comments front. We haven't been able to keep up, but yeah, please do stick a like on the video and make sure you give the channel a subscribe. Huddersfield Town lost 2-1 to Cambridge United in what can only be described as a car crash performance. Once again, the Terriers are showing that they can handle any depth of inability to play football after being smashed by Burton. We once again came to the John Smith Stadium expecting that maybe the town could give us a little bit of hope, but once again dashed all 18,000 people in the crowd on Friday. Let's get into it then. Callum, where do we begin? Callum, what's your thoughts, just overall projection of what you thought to Friday's terrific result?
It's really hard actually to stay calm about this, but I'm actually finding it easier. The worse the results get, the better I feel about it, because a lot of those players have now been exposed for exactly what they are, which is on the beach, there for a wage packet, whatever you want to say about them. That is what was on show against Burton, against Cambridge. Cambridge have got something to play for, and you might say so do Town. But the difference is them Cambridge players want to play for that badge. The Huddersfield Town players currently, and I will make no exceptions to the rule for any player in that squad, they do not want to play for that badge. They're picking up a wage, they're already on the beach. You can say what you like about Pearson putting in a shift, Ruskin putting in a shift, Hoggy being the general, not leading very well, is he? None of them are. Look at the examples that are set. When you go out onto a football pitch against, what were they at the time? Second bottom?
Yeah, second bottom, yeah.
And
if they'd lost on Friday, they would have been relegated.
Exactly. So they've got that fire in the belly that we don't have, and it were there for everyone to see.
Kane, just your overall thoughts before we take a deep dive into whatever the hell we all saw on Friday.
I'm just shocked, to be honest with you. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe what I witnessed. I was laughing in a sense, and I know that sounds terrible, but I was laughing with joy because I just couldn't believe not laughing with joy, but I was laughing because I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Just stick that.
Yeah.
You're sitting there in press box.
but that's what I was though, Cal. We're commentating on the game, and
no, we weren't on, to be fair.
And I'm just thinking, what
really
is going on here? And it
sort of occurred to me about that game which was it got to the point where we scored the equaliser, and I thought, oh no, this massively will paper over the cracks of what has been one, a terrible game, and two, an awful season.
I didn't even cheer the goal. I think
I
that might be the first time in my town supporting history that I've actively not got up and really cheered a goal. I stood up and clapped and sat back down, and I had two friends with me at the time, and they both said to me, "You're not pleased to have scored?" I was like, "No," like, to be honest, not particularly, no, because it just means absolutely naff all.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, it was quite laughable. Was the result in the end, and I was quite happy for Cambridge. You know, that's the joy I was getting out, seeing the Cambridge fans, seeing the players, and all their staff and the directors that they brought up, enjoying themselves. This was a game that they should have never ever have been in, and it's laughable because without going on to the detail in terms of the way the game would play, because we'll do that in a moment, I'm sure. But look at the two clubs. Look, and again, it doesn't matter where you are and what club you are. It's about how you perform on the pitch. But the point is, the club have got the better facilities for them to perform on a pitch. But it's not been. Something's not happening. Performance-wise, we know that it's not been great for the majority of the year. And it was just a massive disappointment. And again, Town had an opportunity to just keep them playoff lives of hope just a little bit, and it was thrown out the window. It was thrown out the window. A win could have been something. And imagine, they go down to Burton, who was struggling, win this game today. They'd have been back up there.
Well, we'd have been back up there, literally, Cal, because every other bloody team lost. You can't make it up. Every other team round us lost. And the lad who sits in front of me, he was like, what he wanted me to keep an eye on the results for him. So I was like, keeping an eye on the results. And like I said, it's such a Town thing to do that everybody loses and we just don't take advantage of it.
Yeah, we were saying this as well. I was going to say the lad in front of me, but unfortunately that's most of the players. The lad behind me always going through like the scores and stuff. We were saying everybody around us is doing exactly what you'd think we'd want them to do at this point in the season. But actually, I don't want this team to get anywhere near the playoffs.
They don't deserve it, do they, Cal? They don't deserve it, do they? Yeah. No, let's take a little bit of a deep dive. Let's also read some comments out. Thanks very much for, as usual, Mr. Chris Bell joining us this evening. He'll be back on tomorrow's show, I'm sure, to give me some jip about Cambridge, the Cambridge result. Also, Blue Terrier 19. Bye Cartwright. Yes, well, we will be coming on to that certain subject, which I'm sure now that particular individual is out of the building. Everybody will be buying season tickets again. Craig Chadwick has said, "Evening, guys. Ready to review another shambles. Getting a bit of a habit is this. Well, it's been a bit of an habit for 10 years, let's be honest. But bar the odd miracle that's happened, mate." Who else have we got? Dirty A, also regular watching the show. The only time they looked like they knew what to do as a team was the second half warm up with the mini cones, all 10 seconds of it. Fair play there. Some analysis. Kane likes that. A little bit of analysis there. Blue 10 and 19 also put, we'll get rid of most of this squad in the summer, even if it takes us over half a season for the new players to get used to playing with each other. And Matt Harrison also has tuned into the show, and he's put, now we have dropped off. How have we dropped off from one Cambridge game to the next? 2025 league table puts us 20th. We've got Jed. Jed's woken up in Australia. Morning, boys. Have the lunatics been running the asylum? Okay. Again, we go back to last year and what the Germans said. Yeah, well, we might touch on that as well. Let's be honest. Like, the first half game was just a non-entity. I mean, it was so boring. I think Cambridge maybe had one or two little efforts, but really it was a bit of a write-off the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was concerned with the players that were named, four central midfielders, two left backs that were named in that starting 11. I was under the assumption that that Worthy would still play his 4-3-3, which I'm gratefully did. Again, because we had the people from BBC behind us thinking they were playing a different formation. I was disappointed to see Kasuma play right back when you got Sorensen on the bench. Now, Sorensen at the moment, his confidence is unbelievably low. His self-esteem, anything about him, he's a broken man. And you can tell that with the way he's performing at the moment. And it doesn't help that anytime he does something wrong, he's got not only the fans on his back, which I don't think the fans are on his back that much, but the players are. Jonathan Hogg is terrible with him. He's horrible. It's not a nice thing to see. At the end of the day, the lad's picked up 2 injuries this year that he's never picked up before. He's not going to be running exactly the same. I think Ben Wiles was lucky to start. I don't. Yeah. Yes, the other week he got a goal and assist, but what else has he done? I've not seen a good performance out of Ben Wiles for a long time. I thought, obviously Miller's clearly coming back from injury, so just needed that bit of time there. So you understand that. Charles worked hard the week before, but he's not got much firepower at the moment. But either way,
he does lots of running, doesn't he? He does lots of running.
He does lots of running. I'm not.
Well, that's about it.
I'm not saying he doesn't work out, but also Steve, Town aren't creating enough chances for him. Now, the other point that I need to make for the first half and for the whole game, Neil Harris had a game plan. Slow things down as much as you can. To be nasty off the ball, be nasty on the ball, fall down every time you get touched, try and win something. And the referee was conned a lot. I thought the referee had a really poor game. But I thought the game plan worked superbly for a Cambridge point of view. Absolutely brilliant. And what played into Cambridge hands more is that 3 Town players got injured and had to go down throughout the game. That really helped Cambridge. But in that first half, it was so stop and start. There was no rhythm. You couldn't get into the game. I felt as if Town tried to play with a bit of a higher tempo, which is what I want to see, what fans want to see. But they just couldn't, because that ball was whenever it was going out of play for Cambridge, you wasted a minute. It's taking its time. Like I say, players were going down. The goalkeeper went down at one point. He wasn't injured. He wanted to speak to his players. I get it. They're in a dogfight. They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their mortgages, their pays. They are fighting for everything. I'd have done exactly the same thing if I was in their camp. I would have done that 100%. But it just took so much of that first half away from Town. It was just a dreadful, slow game to watch. It was really, really poor. Town did try. Don't get me wrong. I thought they tried. I thought, again, not trying to put the ball into the box. Just didn't do it enough. They're not creating them clear-cut chances that you'd expect them to see. And I thought there was some really poor performances. Ruskin's not been in the game for the last couple of weeks. He's got lots of quality, but he just struggled. Maybe his head's gone. Obviously, he looks injured now as well. Hopefully, it's not too serious. I thought Balker looked really good to bring the ball forward out of defence, but then he's bringing that ball up 30 yards, bringing it up into the opposition half. He's like, well, where can I pass to? David Kasuma isn't a right back. He's not a natural right back. So there was so much space down that right-hand side that where he needed to be, but he wasn't there because he was too narrow. That's not his game. So you lacked that bit of balance there. Who else was there that I thought had a good game? Struggling.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, Ruben was disappointing after what he's had a couple of decent games really. In I know what you're saying. He's had a bit now of a quiet period, but before that, the last couple of games, he was doing all right, to be honest. And so it's disappointing to see that he's gone slightly off the boil again. We thought him and Miller on that left hand side would have sorted a few of our problems out, but seemingly Cow, that a number of players had an off day. Do want to speak about Balker because he got injured, and literally I've never seen so many people around me say that he's just made of paper. The lad just has no. what are we going to do? Because he's still in contract. He's not, you know. Do you just pay the lad up and just go a bit like Reece Healy? Thanks very much for all you've tried to do. You know, I don't think he's ever going to get to, 15, 20 games a run of like anything like that.
I mean, how you can pick out any of them players and say they had a good or even decent game is beyond me.
Give Kane credit, he tried.
I don't see what you see in Bolker carrying the ball out. Fair enough, but you're carrying the ball out. The amount of times I watched him misplace a simple pass, he carried the ball out fine. It's not. There are a lack of options, I agree. But what options were there when the options were there? You couldn't even find them. So, I don't rate. Well, I don't rate any of them, but I think Ruskin, there was the point in the game where he was sort of playing. Did he start on the left hand side or the right hand side?
Who?
Ruskin.
Yeah, it started on the left, and then
then
yeah,
quite quickly was moved over to the right, and that didn't work either. So he went. Is that worthy? I was sort of wondering during the game whether that was worthy, telling him to have a bit more freedom in where he wanted him to play, or was he literally just going after the ball wherever he could get it?
Well, I don't know whether that was because, like Cal said, with Kazuma at right back, there was no width on that right-hand side, was there?
Yeah.
Literally none. Like, Kazuma, when he tried to get forward onto the wing, as Cal said, because it's not his natural position, I'm pretty sure that's why they moved Ruben onto that side, because we were all right down the left with Miller and that, obviously Ben Wiles floats out there and whatever, but we just had nothing down the right at all.
No, and if we're asking a player to run both flanks, what are we expecting up against a highly physical, like Kane said, a highly physical Cambridge Neil Harris sort of side? We knew exactly what his Millwall side were like. Some of them players played for him when they were at Millwall, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I recognised a couple of them massive defenders, but they are physical, they are strong, they will get in your face. That's what his sides do. And we are ill-equipped to deal with anything like that at all. And that's been shown time and time again this season. Any side with any sort of physicality will bully us off the ball. They'll bully us off the ball, they'll bully us on the ball, they'll bully us all over the park.
Again, just on Bolker particularly, obviously when he went off, the lad did look, again, genuinely like gutted and whatever. He just what can you do mentally for a player that's so injury prone like him? How does the club go about trying to get the best out of him? Because nothing seems to be working, does it?
No, you speak about mentally, and it's not just Balker that needs that mental help at the moment. I really feel for Balker. I really like him as a player. I generally think he's top quality centre half. I know I've been talking about him coming out for the back, and his passes were a bit off, Cal. But to have your centre half able to do that at that level, there's not many of them who can. And I think that lack of confidence and the injuries in the back of his mind is probably playing a factor to that. He's trying, but there's a lot of recovery sprinting in there for him. And when a game's slow, he was brought back and put straight back into a side. Someone like Balker, who is injury prone, he should have been coming back and getting 20 minutes, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 45, 45 an hour. But Town, they couldn't. They needed him. So that's a bit on the club as well. I'm maybe a little bit on the player saying, yeah, I can do it when really he probably couldn't. And he's just been so unlucky. He has been so unlucky as Balcom. Now, in terms of what can you do for someone mentally, it's just that reassurance of who they are and what they can do. But this is something that needs to happen for everybody in that squad. They are absolutely broken, Steve. They are absolutely broken men. You can see that. After I left the stadium on Friday, walk past Josh Ruffles and Mikael Miller. The game's finished and they just look absolutely drained. Their face is just, they're done with the amount of crap that they're getting. But on the other hand, do they deserve it? Yeah, some would say so. But they are broken men. They have been broken all year long, all season long. They've been broken from relegation. They've been broken from what's been going on this year. The disappointing performances, the losses, the lack of attention to the game and what it means to the supporters as well. You have to go back in and somehow erase everything out of the memory. Erase it all. You just got to. And like I said last week or the week before, I can't remember when it was. Whenever I coach and I'm trying to get a bit of confidence out of somebody, little goal. Set a little goal and build on that little goal. That's what needs to happen. But unfortunately, with Huddersfield at the moment, the goal is so far away, it has to be set at that because that's what the chairman set. Now, I'm not blaming this on Kevin, but that is what the chairman has set. He's set the goal promotion. That is a lot of pressure. And when you've had poor performances, in and out of injuries with players, things going against you, that goal is getting further and further away. So you can't hit it. And you can't have a small goal because that's it. You've got to get there. So the more times you fail getting that goal, the more times you're going to feel low. And it's been constantly happening all this year. Second part of the season, this year, 2025, that goal has got further and further away. And then players have become broken even more each week. So it's about erasing that memory and finding a little. It's going to have to reset in pre-season. You have to reset now. That's it. They're done. I mean, I said they were done weeks ago, but even that little bit of hope, you can hold on to it, but it ain't going to be there with the way they are at the moment. Mentally, they are done. They're physically done.
I think they've been done for a couple of seasons, if I'm honest, some of these lads.
Yeah, but that's the difference, though, Steve. A difference I've done in a couple of seasons and mentally drained and done now is completely different.
Yeah,
it's completely different. That's a club mentality for them. But right now, they are broken men. They need so much support right now.
I'm not.
But
sure.
the fans are broken as well.
Yeah, of course they are. 100%.
I think I sat there with 3 non-regular sort of goers to town games on Friday, and they, I think, were a bit shocked at how the atmosphere was because they don't regularly go to the games. They're not regular town fans, and so I think they were like, "Yeah, but you're 9th in the league. Like you can still do something." I was like, "No, it's you don't understand the effort and the pain that the supporters have gone through." I mean, Cal, you were going to go on to say something there.
I mean, I'm not out to deliberately like stir this pot here, and I do agree with some of what's been said there, but I'm not sure saying these players need support. I'm not sure we are the ones that are to give them that support as a club anymore, because we haven't asked them to do anything remarkable this season. The goal was set to get out of this division. We had the financial backing and the players, talent-wise, to do it. Some would say, and I'm more inclined to this position the more time goes on, that we even had the manager capable of doing it. However, for some reason, those players, as a collective and as individuals, have not performed their roles. And yes, we've had injuries, catastrophic injuries, absolutely, and that can derail pretty much any plans that you want to put in place. However, you talk about little goals. Now, Worthington has said, we're going out at this point, we are trying to beat what is in front of us. Now, you go out and beat Cambridge. That's a little goal. That's not you go out and we must get promoted. Going out and beat what's in front of you is a little goal. These players have paid a lot of money to do what they do. A lot of them have been around for a lot of time doing what they do. Experience in this division, some have it, some don't. However, they have been asked to do the basics of their job. They have not done it. So why should we then rally around them and go, it's all right, lads, just forget that, that season that you took your money and you put it in your back pocket and you spent it on your cars and you spent it on your missus and your house and whatever. But you didn't do the job that we asked you to, and you didn't do the little goals, and you didn't do the big goals either. But that's all right, lads. Just reset. For me, tomorrow, you drop most of that squad, you play the academy, the lads that are going to give something for that shirt, and in the summer, you press reset and you press it hard, and it'll cost a lot of money, but you get them lads that clearly can't shake that whatever this is, the hangover from last season, the relegation, clearly they can't shake it. No manager's been able to get it out of them. And God knows we've tried with different managers, different styles, different formations, tactics, whatever. We've tried. It hasn't worked. So for me, it's in their best interests to go out now, find another club and start again. Because we need to start again. So do they.
So in terms of support, obviously, I mean, within the club, get psychologist, something like that.
Steve,
but in terms of, pardon?
Clip that up, Steve, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that is being clipped up. No, that was like my rant about 4 weeks ago. It's fantastic. This is a great debate, lads. I'm just sitting back. Where's the popcorn?
Cal, what define a basic goal? Define a basic goal for me.
Define a basic goal, what in terms of Huddersfield Town Football Club?
Of what you want. What is a basic goal of what you want?
Score a goal at home.
Show me that you want to play for that shirt. Show me that playing for that shirt means something to you.
That's what you want as a fan. The point I'm trying to make, and you said a basic goal is to go and win the game, but it has to get, but it has to get even more basic for me for them to build that confidence, which is what they don't have.
Battles, which we're not doing.
Yeah, make a pass, complete a pass.
Exactly. But these are things we're not doing. But
I know
basics of football.
They are the basics of football, but that's why you set the goal low to hit that goal first. And this is why your goal is to go and win that game. So you panic and you're under so much pressure already. I'm not here to just defend like the players or anything like that. It's just something I feel like that should be done. It's something that I would do. Whether I'm right or wrong, I could be way off. But if I'm setting someone just a very small, basic goal, can you complete that and come back to me and say, yes, I have? Brilliant. Do that again and add this goal and do that next time. And then can you do that? Get all them things in place and build that little bit of confidence. You don't have to set a goal to win the game because you'll do it anyway because individually everyone's done that.
Do you not think, though, that was maybe the MO of appointing Worthington into this role? Being from the academy, surely he's quite good at that? Because a lot of these young players sort of need instruction like that.
100%.
Surely that's his whole role. But we're not seeing it even with Worthy. And I know the bar was quite high from his previous time in charge, and that's a different time, different players, different situation, yeah. However, we're not actually seeing it. I don't think I'm seeing anything from this Worthy side.
But is it?
He's put an arm around him, or he's had a go at him, or what? I don't know what he's doing to him. But you'd have thought he'd have been quite a good arm round the shoulder manager.
But is Worthy the one that's actually making the instructions? I don't want to bring any sort of conspiracy theories into the podcast, but there is a lot of people out there that do think it's more to do with Kevin Russell than it is Worthy. So it's a hard one. I think. Look, supporters, we all want Worthy to do well. It's not working, is it? I was skeptical for 10 games. I was one that was happy to keep Duff. I know on a scale, Kane was at the other end, like get him out the door quickish, because it mainly with 3-5-2. Let's be honest. But you had some points there. Now I do want to bring some comments in. Ben, his CFC 17, probably. Thanks very much, Kane. I'm sorry that you, Ben, sorry that you missed a notification, mate. Hopefully you get that last time. But, for being late, we will have to dock you 5 subscriber points. I'm sorry. I've just made that up, by the way. Keo, I don't know who Tim is from Suffolk, but he said Neil Harris for manager. Yeah, that's an interesting shout after the Cambridge game. Dirty says Kane has some tough decisions to make. So do I. Do I watch Town tomorrow or stick a fork in my eye? My biggest decision now is which fork. I don't know. I don't know how we can answer that one, mate.
Biggest one you can find.
We'll leave.
Ideally, you want one that goes across both eyes.
We don't. No. We don't want any insurance claims on this channel. So please do use forks safely. Jed, he's got a question for you, Kane. We like questions, by the way, guys. So if you do want to ask a question, please do. Don't test me. I'm just a presenter, but do test Callan and Kane. So the question is, why Kane / Duff called it a soft underbelly, new artillery in, leaders that take no prisoners, nothing we have at present. So I think he's kind of thinking, explain, like you obviously Duff said about this soft underbelly, and it has been said by other managers that we have that's had no leaders, so he's asking you why do you think that is then? Why is it in the entire squad we have literally no leaders?
Why? That's on the recruitment of why there's no leaders. You have to go and recruit them. I mean, look at when Wagner came in. How many captains did he buy? Chris Lover, Hefele, Chris Schindler, all captains of their clubs where they were before. It's about recruiting the right kind of person. And look, technically, I think some of the signings that have come in have been great. But a lot of them have, some of them have, the loan signings who have been playing a big part of young. Longvic's been out, but played half the season, majority in that back three. He's a very young player back there. Tom Lees is injured, so you lose that leader out there. Callum Marshall has led the line for the majority of the season. He's 20 years old or whatever he is. He's not doing that. Jonathan Hogg is the leader. He's not been getting picked. Who else you got to look for? You can't have your goalkeeper as your leader because he's back there. You need someone in the middle. You need someone up top. You need someone in the middle and there's someone at the back. You need 3 leaders out there minimum to go and take the game by the scruff of the neck. Yeah. This soft underbelly is a polite word of saying something I'm not going to say on the podcast, but they are just soft, unbelievably soft. No bottle, no nothing.
And said they have no cojones.
Yeah, exactly. And one of them things for me is I watch that and I go and I hear that and I say it to myself, and then I watch Chua challenge for the ball in the air, and I watch Karoma challenge for the ball. Oh, I don't want to do that. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But that again comes from recruitment. Personally, I don't think Cartwright did too bad of a job in terms of player recruitment here. Okay, technically they're good, but I can feel them coming. But just they're not the right kind of players. We said it in the past, did Huddersfield Town, when we were getting the right player. We're looking at their personality, what they are about as well. Someone who's just gonna ferry the way around the ground and shrug challenges isn't a Huddersfield Town player. It's not what the fans want. So for me, Jed, that's come from the recruitment of the players. Yes, okay, some of them have got some good quality, but you have to find a leader as well.
So I suppose let's throw it to you, Cal, as well. like you said, Kane does make a good point there, and I do agree with him. I think you do need characters all over the pitch, which we did have in obviously the promotion season to the Prem. But it's for a number of years now we haven't had a leader, and I don't really get. You look at somebody like Matty Pearson, and obviously I think he's let himself down in the last 2 games. That he's not gone over to thank the fans in some way. But, where are these leaders? There's a lot of experienced lads in there, but they all seem pretty quiet.
There's a reason why, is because, who's gonna put their head above the parapet here and go, yeah, I'm responsible for this? No, nobody. Nobody's going to sit there and say and take the blame and take the vitriol from the fans. Nobody, and Pearson, yeah, I do agree with you. That is out of order to do what he did at Burton and do what he did against Cambridge. Shoot straight down the tunnel. We've seen people do it before. It never ends well. It's just not a good look. Credit to the players. They were getting some nasty stuff at the final whistle against Cambridge. I was providing some of it, but credit to them. They did come over. And at one point I thought Joe Taylor were going to come and just thump me one because he just kept walking towards the south stand. That one's going to stop. But credit to them players that come out and they'll take whatever's thrown at them, because ultimately I do think that they deserve it. And I think in terms of the leaders in the team, we've got all this the general Jonathan Hogg stuff that's been generated. Where is our general? Where is he? Because he's not he's not the leader he once was. He really isn't. When times are good, it's quite easy to stand there and go, yes, these are my lads, this is my team, this is great. We're fearless, we fly into every challenge. But when things aren't so good, where are you?
To be fair, lads not been getting picked, has he?
No, and that's, I am, again, absolutely fair enough. He's not been getting picked. But your Pearson, who has been getting picked, is also he's a figure like that. Experience in the game, he's very much a Hoggy sort of figure. Puts his head wherever he needs to put it. Or you would have thought. But maybe because that's stopped happening, he's then stopped leading or stopped wanting to give the perception of leadership, maybe.
That's part of the discussion, Kane. I was glad that you brought Matt Cartwright up, because we'll move slightly into that. I think we've probably depressed ourselves over the Cambridge game enough now. I'll bring up the statement of what Mark Cartwright, the club put out about Mark Cartwright. So I'll just read it out. It says, Huddersfield Town can confirm that Mark Cartwright has today been relieved of his duties as sporting director. Having joined the club in July 2023, Cartwright has been with Town for 2 seasons, leading our sporting endeavours at Canalside and overseeing all footballing activity. Huddersfield Town CEO Jake Edwards commented, undergoing a full review of our sporting operations ahead of another important summer for the club, we have made the difficult decision to relieve Mark of his duties with immediate effect. Retaining the full support of the chairman, our collective efforts will be focused on completing a positive summer of activity, both on and off the field, allowing us to head into the 2025-26 season with a renewed belief and confidence in all departments. On behalf of everyone at the club, I would like to thank Mark for his efforts during his time at Huddersfield Town and wish him all the very best for the future. Kane, obviously that was, the sort of statement that they put out. It was quite short and sweet. They thanked him and he's gone. And they put that out at I think it was 8 p.m. On Friday, so a couple of hours after the game. Were you surprised? I know that you're in and around the stadium a little bit after the game, aren't you? Because obviously you do the press conference and stuff. Did you hear of anything that this announcement was going to be made at that time?
No, waiting forever for Worthy for the press conference actually left. So,
fair enough.
He wasn't at the game, I don't believe. I don't recall seeing him. I was shocked. I thought I thought he might have been given an opportunity to bring in a manager, to be honest with you, because you've also got to think he's had to be paid off. And how much does that cost? So
does he deserve to though, Kane? Does he deserve to bring in another manager?
It's his job.
No, but do you think he deserved another chance?
So far, going back to also what I was saying about the players.
No. I think there's been mistakes made in terms of, obviously, I think they got rid of Warnock too early. Darren Moore was a big mistake. After that, it was all a bit of a show. So, yeah, I also never didn't really agree with Duff. So, yeah, I think in terms of manager-wise, yeah, it's not been good enough. So, but I was still quite shocked to see it happen. But fair play, Mr. Nagel. He said there were going to be changes. He's been listening to the fans, and good on him. Well played, sir.
Cal, we did get a diary, and I was gonna. So I did say on the last podcast, I think I did say that I was going to try and do a maybe a video sort of my thoughts about the diary, but there actually wasn't a lot said, to be honest, apart from the fact that the club wants people to buy season tickets, and that Kevin said that there will be changes, and there was a lot of "we care about the club" sort of language. He sort of hinted at it, but I thought it was going to be more towards the end of the season rather than like in terms of maybe after the Exeter game or Leyton Orient game when technically, mathematically, we can still get into the playoffs. It's not a done deal. So were you a bit surprised that it was said after the Cambridge game? And what were your initial feelings when it was announced?
Happy, because ultimately he hadn't been performing in a role that he's paid incredibly well for. And look at his previous achievements. Look at his previous club, Stoke City. When we appointed Mark Cartwright and we announced it on social media, the comment section of that Twitter post was full of Stoke City fans saying, "Oh Christ, what have you done? What are you doing? Yeah. This man dragged us down to championship mediocrity and we have stayed there ever since." That's what they were saying. And that is what's happened to us, apart from we got relegated because we weren't the top side in the championship to start with. However, I think he did say in the diary that don't think that we're standing still. We're making these decisions now. However, I think after the Cambridge game, he thought, right, I am going to have to throw these fans a bone. I'm going to have to give them something. And let's look past the smoke and mirrors a little bit here and think, how many season tickets have we sold?
Well, reportedly, it's heard to be less than 5k by
exactly. What is under every post that Huddersfield Town have put on Twitter since probably just after Christmas? That picture of Cartwright out. Everybody knows what I'm on about because it's on everything. So he had to give them something in order to get people through the door next season. A lot of people said, including myself, I'm not going to renew my season ticket until there are major changes at this football club.
And is this the first major change? Would you say?
Absolutely is. It's a positive step in the right direction, 100%. Keep making decisions like that. People will go, right, okay, as long as I know my money, if I'm being charged more, I want to know that my money is being spent well. And at least somebody that isn't so ruinous when he gets money.
The biggest, I know Kane's got a point. I just want to add this in as well. It came out on the last Monday when we were doing our round table show. So after we did our last town talk show, that the agent fees figure came out from the FA. It was, I'm sure everybody knows now that we were £1.16 million to agents fees at the highest in League One. In fact, we paid double what Birmingham City have, who have just won the league, and we paid more than £370,000 more than what Wrexham have, who are in second place. I mean, when you look at them figures, Kane, he were walking a tightrope, wasn't he, Cartwright, really? You can't be spending that amount of money. And then in the diary, it seemed like, from what Kevin was saying, that he wasn't aware that money had been spent in that way. I mean, that to me was, if that is right, that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, mad, innit? Look, some of these agents' fees, they vary depending if a player's got a club already or not. So the agent fee goes higher if the player doesn't already have a club, I believe, or it's the other way around. So
the way I heard it was that if you're paying money for a player, you pay less in agent fees.
Yeah.
If you're paying another club, but if you're paying a free agent, you pay more in agent fees.
Yeah, so basically paying an agent to make sure they come and play for you. So that's what happens when you get free agents. Agent fees and agents, it's all a load of, in my opinion anyway. That's where what Cal said earlier, you lose a bit of the heart for the badge for the team, because your agent's going to sort you out as much money as you can get, and you'll go wherever you can get that money and wherever you can get your bonuses. And the point I wanted to make was one in terms of define what a sporting director does. Again, I've already said this. I'm going to have this conversation again, guys. Sporting director for me is a person who brings in the players, brings in the manager, has a set idea, has an identity of what the team should be doing. And it is very, very clear that Mr. Cartwright never had an identity or a way of playing with the managers that he's brought in, because they were all different. And that is really poor. You have to have an idea, right, of how you want your team to play. And that is how the fans can see that. They'll relate to it. They'll go, I get it. I can see what they're trying to do. So I'll back that, because at least I can see it. We hadn't seen anything. I knew what Warnock were doing. It was defending and going on the counter-attack. That's not great football to watch, by the way. That was, I'm doing this. This is what we need to do. Darren Moore came in, didn't change a thing, and were just horrendous, made it worse.
Yeah.
Who else did we after that? Brighton Riker, was it?
Brian Riker, who just told everybody to sod off in his native German, basically.
Yeah, don't blame him. But what did I see in that? Don't know.
Does it prove, though? Can I just stop you there? Does it prove what he said was correct with some of these lads now?
He called the players out for exactly what they were.
14 months or whatever later, when everybody were going, well, some people were saying, well, he were a bit harsh there, he were whatever.
It's
always seen it
to go, oh yeah, that lad were bang on 14 months after the fact when we're suffering the consequences of what he told us.
But do we all agree now that what he was saying was probably, pretty bang on?
I never disagreed with it anyway.
He was spot on, and I liked it at the time.
No, but some people did, Kane. Some people said that he was wrong.
People, I'm talking about me. I agreed with it. But again, my point is...
Warm in here, lads, bloody hell.
My point is, take your jumper off, lad. My point is, I didn't see an identity and a playing style from the sporting director, and that has to come from there. Or at least you bring in the manager or managers with that same kind of idea that you want to see on the field. And it was just so different in each coach that came in. So this is where it's worked for Edwards and Mr. Nagel to do, and find, if they are getting a sporting director, to make sure they get one who's going to bring an identity and a style of play that the fans want to get behind. That is huge. It's huge.
So, and I agree with that 100%. And I've kept banging on about this ever since Kevin walked through the door. There is no plan. For the football side, there is very much a plan for off the field, which we've all said is great. As he's done a lot of good there. And in fact, in his diary, he kept saying how he wanted to improve things off the field. The stadium deal looks pretty much done. Kevin Davies just waiting for his 6-week whatever councils have to do to go through to see if anybody else is going to come in. Doubt that's going to happen for the Shea Stadium. So I think in pretty much 4 or 5 weeks, that's going to be wrapped up. and then Davey will sign on the dotted line, and Kevin will get the John Smith Stadium. So off the field, there is clearly a plan. On the field, I don't think there's ever been a proper plan in place, and I think that's mainly come through because of Mark Cartwright's inability to create a plan. And I agree, Ken. We've gone from one manager to another with different styles, different ethoses of how to play the game, different backgrounds, from where they've come from Warnock to Darren Moore to even now, Worthy taking interim charge for 10 games. So no wonder the players don't respond to anything now, because, we got at the start of the season, we thought we were going to have Michael Duff for maybe, a couple of seasons. And after 10 months, he's been sacked. So probably the players have got to a point that have been here for 4 or 5 seasons now where they're going, I just can't be bothered anymore. What's the point? Now, this comes on to the touching on what, somebody's asked in the comments, who do we want as his next manager? Let me see if I can find the comment. Blue Teddy 19. What type of manager do you think we need next? So who do you want, Kane? Who do you want as next manager?
I'm not bothered who it is, as long as they bring a style of play and some identity that I can relate to.
But
ideally, it'd be a German-Spanish hybrid manager. Bring a bit of Spanish flair and German engineering onto the field.
So if Wagner had
a German-American hybrid manager.
Look, if David Wagner and Carlos Corberan had a baby, that's who I want.
Right. Okay.
Seriously though, Steve, not bothered who it is, not bothered on their experience. Want them to go out there and show me some high intensity, some high tempo, a good formation, style of football. That's it. And it makes players work hard. Sorry, Carl.
Just say his name. Just say his name. You want Gegenpress. Just say his name.
What, Jurgen Klopp? Without... and I get what you're saying, Ken, and I think we all want that. I genuinely think a lot of people want that style of football. But do we think that David Wagner is going to step back into League One at this time? He was seen at West Ham with Stuart Webber at the weekend. Interestingly, they played Southampton, who have not got a manager. Wagner's also been linked with LA Galaxy in America. He's not going to pick League One football over them, is he?
No, don't be stupid. Why would he do that?
But I'm not. I'm not being stupid.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you are. Why would it be so stupid to do that? Look at the way Town are at the moment.
So
they're in a relegation rut that from last season. They're not in a good place mentally on the field. They're not in a good place. Behind the scenes, they're trying to make it better. But until that's better, there ain't coming back. It'd be silly to do so. So, like I say, not bothered who the manager is, as long as it brings something with a bit of high energy, high press, high tempo that people can get behind. That's it, and a good formation.
Callum, who do you want? Because we aren't getting Paul Wong because he's gone to MK.
I didn't want David Wagner. I didn't want him. I really didn't, because you're terrified of tarnishing a legacy that I've never seen a manager have at Huddersfield Town before him. However, having weighed up the pros and the cons, to bring a fan base together and to get a team playing the basics is exactly what David Wagner did in his first season, turning the canteen at Canalside into a gym, taking them all off to the woods and wherever they went without mobile phones, and trying to gel them together, get them fighting for each other. Why would we not want that? And that's exactly what he would do.
But he's not going to come in to us in League One.
I see what you're saying about Southampton. Yeah, I think they'd want to aim a bit higher than him. I don't think David Wagner's good enough for the ambitions that Southampton ultimately think that they have. Whether they're a good enough football club to have them or not is a different conversation. LA Galaxy, you're essentially signing away your want to manage in Europe ever again if you go and manage in the US.
Ever again?
For me, when does it happen that a manager goes over to the US and comes back not in tatters?
Phil Neville.
Thank you. I rest my case.
Okay, so let's just there's a couple of comments on this. Blue Teddy 19. I've heard there's a coach who everyone's talking about in Germany and hasn't lost since joining the club in the Championship. Anybody any idea who that is? No idea, to be honest. We've then got. They've also said Des Buckingham would be a good shout. Ex-Oxford coach. Interesting. Mark Harrison says he believes Rob Edwards would be a good pick. I think Rob Edwards is the only one that I kind of like the sound of. Joe Taylor wouldn't like that choice. But I think Rob Edwards for me would be a sensible one. Ben has got sources in the club, including probably Hines and HP, and he said that apparently Wagner would join back, but only at the right time, which is apparently not now. And Judge put, it's like going back to your ex. It won't end well. Don't know. I've never had an ex, so I can't say. In terms of the positions at the club, Kane, obviously there's a lot to sort out. There's now a director of football to put in place. Do we need a director of football in League One? You know, people are wanting, what's his name, Chris Markham, who was at Bolton, who apparently is a Huddersfield Town fan. You know, do we need a director of football in League One? Or the only other manager, by the way, that I will go with, just before you answer that, is Nigel Pearson. And I don't think we'd need a director of football with Nigel Pearson in place, because I think he'd just pick his own players.
Again, what is your director of football going to do? Your director of football brings in the players, brings in the manager, has your style, has an identity, and has a style what he wants to play. That's why it's important to have one, because otherwise you're going to get in a manager. Okay, let's say Michael Duff's in there and he doesn't have Cartwright Brown in players. Okay, it's not ended well. He gets sacked. So you have another manager come in, plays a completely different style, completely different formation. Oh, wait a minute. I've got a left back that I don't want to. I've got a left back that I've given a new contract to, but he's not going to play. Oh, I've got a left winger, but I'm going to play him as striker and a left wing. Oh no, we've already done that. Look, this is the point of having. I'm sure you understood that we're talking about Ruffles and Karoma there. This is the point of having a director of football or a sporting director, so you can have that style, have that identity, and they can bring the players in for what you're asking your manager to do. And it's all there. It's all planned out. You can plan out for who's coming in next season. Who can you look at the season after? What about the season after that? Having a manager do that takes away the fact that they need to coach a team to go and win a game. They have to be at training. For me, I'd have one, because you can set all that out there. If you bring in a manager and it don't work, he's bought players for his style, and the way he goes, your next manager might be completely different. And anything you've planned for the next 2-3 years, throw it out the window. If you've got a director of football, you can still work off that plan. The director of football just has to be good.
So you think it is imperative now in a football club at our sort of level that you have to have a director of football, yeah?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Callum?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. You look at the most successful spells that we've had have come under good directors of football.
1970s, we didn't have a director of football.
1970s, we barely had a training ground.
I was going to go back to the 20s, but I think that would have been a push.
Planes flying overhead.
Dale Mellors put at the disabled supporters group a month ago, Joe Taylor apparently said he'd welcome Rob Edwards as head coach. Whether he meant it or not is another matter. Well, there's only that you can tell us.
Turn around and say that no, I absolutely despise the man as manager, is he?
We've also, so let's move on from the Cartwright chat. Obviously, he's gone. It will be interesting in that. I think, they need to get somebody in quick, because I do agree with Kane that if you're going to start laying plans down, that needs to be done, as quickly as possible, really, doesn't it? Going into next season, because clubs will already be planning, won't they? So
a good club, Steve, will have planned for this season 3 years ago.
Yeah, but we won't have done that.
No, we won't have done because you just got rid of sporting director. This is my point. Having a sporting director or a director of football, whichever one they want to name it, you've got a plan for the season, next season, the season after that. This is why it's important to have one.
What do you think, though, to the reactive managerial appointments and reactive decisions? When we had a sporting director, if he had that plan in place, surely we wouldn't be making reactive decisions.
Then clearly didn't have that plan. This is what I'm saying. A good one will have a plan in for what they're going to do next. I'd be looking at managers that are not just players. I mean, what happens if if he's not successful? Who's my next manager? Who's the manager after that? Who else could I look at? I'd be constantly be having a pool of managers. I wouldn't just be sending out scouts to go scout players. I'm going scouts to scout managers, what they do, see how they react with their players, what kind of football they're trying to play. That's the kind of stuff a sporting director has to set up, and a director of football, providing they have an identity and a style of play.
Just because my mate Aidan, who sits in front of me, who's season ticket holder, he loves this certain character. So I'm going to name him, and I just want one word as either yes, you'd like him as manager, or no, you definitely wouldn't. Ready? So I'll go Callum first, then Kane. Right? Ready? Steve Evans.
No.
Kane?
No.
Okay, let's move on. I've asked a question, Ed. I asked a question. Anyway, right, let's move on to, we've got a game on Monday. We're back on the field of play, and we're going to Stockport away. A team that is up there that I don't know if they've cemented the playoff place, but they're very much there, and they're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, they've done absolutely magnificent, haven't they, this season, Cal? You know, whatever happens next season in League One, it's definitely not going to be as strong at the upper end of the table as what it has been this season with how good Stockport have come up and Wrexham.
Yeah, absolutely. The money that's been chucked around this division this season has been nothing short of ridiculous. And I think next season, no matter who comes down from the Championship, you're not going to have them big spenders because, you know, yes, they are big clubs that have come down anyway, but Birmingham had new owners with a point to prove, so they were going to spend more money anyway, no matter what division they were in.
Yeah.
Huddersfield Town, to a certain extent, had new owners with a point to prove, but that's gone well. Wrexham obviously have, well, not necessarily new owners anymore, but they're owners that are trying to cement a legacy, and they're going to try and throw all the money at it that they can to try and secure, what is it, the record promotions to this level. I can't remember what they're chasing now, but they're after something, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we were always up against it. I think the surprise package for me has been like Wickham, teams like that, and Reading. Look at Reading. You know, off the pitch they're a shambles. On the pitch, it seems to come together for them. And Stockport,
it's the opposite of us.
Well, exactly. But Stockport again are one of them because they've not had such massive investment, but what they've spent well.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it shows because all the teams that have done it are up there.
Yeah. And they arguably got rid of their three best players from League Two last season. Two, I think, went to Bradford City. So, Kane, Stockport, it's going to be a tough test. Are we just automatically expecting a defeat because of what's happened to the two teams in the relegation zone? Or, sorry, one was just outside in Burton.
Yeah, I've been trying to back the club to win games over the last few weeks, and I really don't know why I have, because I've gone and watched games and it's been shocking. I just don't think it's going to be a good day. It's a sellout in terms of away fans, so fair play. That's amazing. For the team to be playing like they are, yet we're sold out. I mean, it's not too far away, but still, it's a sellout away allocation.
Do we know what that is, by the way? Is it 1,200?
It'd be something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I thought they'd beat Burton. I thought they beat Cambridge at ease. I thought they beat Crawley. All this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm at a point where I just don't think there's enough backbone. I don't think it's there. Again, they're very broken, and it's going to be a long afternoon. It'll be a long afternoon. You know what? What's going to make it even longer? I'm going to be sat on a gantry at a rival club watching the notifications of Stockport's 5 goals pop up.
Well, you obviously agree with what John's saying. It's going to be 5-0 to Stockport. Interestingly enough, the man from the Southern Hemisphere says that the Stockport pies are good. So I don't know, Jeb. We'll get confirmation of that next podcast for you if we know anybody that's going. Are you going, Cal?
That's why they're sold out.
Are you going, Cal? Are you taking your drum?
I've got some sense.
Are you doing your hair that day?
I'm working.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Town to make 3 good passes, apparently. That's 30 years. All by Bolker.
This guy's wants to request a bet.
Yeah, well, Ben's obviously excited because apparently he must be related to Jim White because apparently Sky Bet have taken off bets for Town's next manager, Terrier Inbound, apparently. But Ben, if you could tell us who it is, please let us know.
Things are rough at this football club. We've got a comment section talking about the pies at different grounds. Things are rough at this football club, I swear.
Yeah.
See what the Jones pies that Town used to do were really good, actually. And then I had a pie at Bradford City on Thursday. That was all right.
That's pie.
Was that definitely not Pucker pies? No. Well. Okay, so apparently the manager that Ben thinks that we're bringing in his Wilson. Okay. Right, well we do. Ben, I don't know if you're just bantering us now, like you do with Jay on the Leeds one. To be honest,
we're bringing Jason Tindall, the main character. He doesn't need a director of football; they'll do it all.
Let's get Mark Cartwright in as manager. Right, let's go for a prediction and scorer. Cal, prediction for Stockport away on Monday.
Let's run it back to that old classic. Was it 6-0 Town?
7-0 Town. We won
7-0 Town when we went into the playoffs and they went down.
Yeah.
Well, let's run that back in reverse. Town stay down, Stockport in the playoffs. 7-0 to Stockport.
Wow. Okay. Get your bets on that, ladies and gents. Kane?
3-0 Stockport.
Boring.
And this might surprise you. I'm going to go for a Huddersfield Town victory, 2-0 to Town. It'll be such a Town thing to do. Lose to Burton, lose to Cambridge, and go and beat a playoff team in Stockport. It's the ultimate Town thing to do.
I used to say that before this season. I used to say things like that, and then we'd lose to a relegation team, and then we'd lose to a playoff team as well. So it didn't really matter.
Well, we'll bring the podcast to an end, so the chaps could go and enjoy their Sunday evening. I'm sure that they've got plenty of Easter eggs left to enjoy, particularly Callum, who's been chomping on throughout the podcast. But it's been good to see you fellas. Obviously, we've got Stockport on Monday, and then we have got Exeter next Saturday, but let's take it one game at a time. I'm sure we'll see you next Sunday. But for now, I've been your host, Stephen Downs. Thank you very much for all the comments in today's show. Really do appreciate all the people getting in touch. It really does make a difference to the show. And please do give a like and share the video with a subscribe on the channel. But for now, I've been your host, Stephen Downs, and I've had Kane. See you later, Kane. Cheers. Thanks very much, mate, for coming on the show.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Speak to you next week.
And cheers, Cal. Thank you very much, too.
See you later, boys.
And that's been us for the Town Talk Show. Get ready for tomorrow night's show on the round table where we'll be discussing all the other results from across our region. So for now, let's hope that Johnny Worthington can come up with a master plan at Stockport on Monday to make it a happy Easter after all for all the Town faithful. See you later.